with that, you might ask the question, why? What about the relationship that I have that is on the rocks with my fellow man or sister or mother and father or whoever? I'm going to read a little bit something. Something stood out to me this morning. I'm going to read something, and let me put my glasses on first. We're going to see if Jesus wasn't quite kind of in the same position, and it might bring some context to the question. I'm going to go to Matthew 26 and start in verse 25. When Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, now you have to remember they were all together and they were going to have communion, and Judas, which betrayed him, answered and said, Master, is it I? He said unto him, Thou hast said it. Jesus was open with him. Yes, it's you. And as they were eating, Jesus took bread and blessed it and brake it and gave it to the disciples and said, Take, eat, this is my body. And he took the cup and gave it thanks and gave it to them and said, Drink it all. For this is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many for the remission of sin. But I say unto you, I will not drink henceforth of this fruit of the vine until the day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. Now, the way a lot of us were taught that is, if Judas left, we all know that Judas got up and left, right? Because when Jesus said that, I think Jesus actually gave him the piece of bread, and he went up and left. So in our minds, the way a lot of us were taught, Jesus could not have had or even administered communion because there was one of them that was not with them, right? But Jesus didn't do it that way. He continued right on with where he was at, even though there was conflict amongst them. However, one of the things that I want to point out is, with that conflict, have I done everything I can in my power to actually resolve that situation? Have I cleaned it up as much as I know it? Did I take responsibility for me? So I wanted to make sure that question is answered this morning. You might be thinking, well, if I still have parents that are against me, or if I have a church somewhere that is against me, if you've done everything in your power to make so that it's clean between you and the Father and clean between your fellow man, I believe that you should step up and take communion according to what you believe in your heart. And so I wanted to make sure that question gets answered. Is there anybody in the room that has anything that they would like to share as a testimony, or even something that you feel like you have on your heart that you would actually like to make a public statement that, hey, you know what? This is something that stood. I'm just here to take full responsibility of it, or anything in that line. Is there anybody that has a testimony or anything that they wanted to put out there? Maybe even a question. You can come up here if there is. Yes. Let's ask your question.
We're down here from Canada, and we're visitors here, but I had been, I would say, saved through grace, through the help of Special Amos here, and Jonathan and Ruth. And what stood out to me, there's so many people that accuse me. I have blamed them, and I have this and that. And there's a lot of people that want me to believe that I'm guilty. And I go to my heart, and I'm not guilty of any wrongdoing. And I say, it's your problem, it's not mine. I have peace. And I did everything that I could to resolve this, that I could be at peace with them. So I'm going to come boldly to the throne of grace. When Jesus died, the veil in the temple was rent. Only one time a year could the high priest go in there. And they said it was so serious that they put a rope and tied it to his foot. If he blacked out, that they would pull him out. They were not allowed to go in there because that was symbolic of the most holy of God. And the veil was rent, and we can come boldly in there and take his communion, be at fellowship with him. And I found that I had peace with the Father through the Son of that breaking of bread, breaking his body. And we want to testify that here today.
Thank you, Norman. That is actually something, he brought something up that I wanted to comment on a little bit. I have seen this where we have, and I do not say this to scare anyone, okay? But there is something to the fact of eating and drinking to our own damnation, our own sickness and all that. And I have actually seen it in one situation where we went to this person and we told them that, you know what, you're actually out fornicating, you're doing things that are outside of God's order. And we're warning you that you might want to not take communion. And, oh, I'm okay. But you know what happened? We left it with God, okay? That was between him and God. That person 3 days later ended up in the hospital. And he later ended up, I think, passing away. However, this is not just something to just throw around and kick around however we choose to. We want to look at this as something that's serious and make sure that we're clean between us and the Father, you know. Anybody else? If there's no one else, I think I'll turn it back over to Dan. So Dan, would you come up here?
All right. Well, thank you, Amos. See if we can pull this out. Well, good morning to you again. Today is a special day, and so we actually want to treat it that way. We actually want to be in reverence of what we're doing, and yeah, it's just really hit me this morning already. Of course, we sang the songs about Jesus and him coming out of the grave again and being alive, and it's just, you just can't find a greater story or a greater miracle than that. And it's so precious to me. So today we want to talk about Jesus. We want to talk about what he's done for us and what he's left behind for us and what he means to each one of us and like that. But before we get into that, we do have an announcement to make. Our community here, our church, is starting up. So just to give you a little more of an idea of what we're talking about here, we have our men's, our ladies, our marriage events every spring and every fall. And then so there's November, January, and February that we have nothing going on. So this year we're actually going to have small groups for those 3 months. And it's open for anybody. You don't have to be a part of this community. Anybody can join these that they want. So what I want to do is I want to invite the small group leaders up to share what they're doing. And so Andrew, Elam. No, not Elam. You're not doing one.